All right, welcome back to Mindset Rebuild, everybody.
It's good to be back.
I'm Alan, and as always, we're going to keep this real, keep it practical.
Yeah, none of that fluffy self-help stuff here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mindset Rebuild's all about ditching that fluff, getting straight to actually building a better mindset, one that works for you in the real world.
You got it. I'm Rebecca, and I'm really excited for this deep dive.
I am too.
We talk a lot about big goals and ambitions on Mindset Rebuild.
And honestly, who doesn't love thinking about achieving those huge milestones?
Right.
But sometimes I think we get ahead of ourselves.
No, absolutely.
And, we get caught up in needing those big wins, those massive achievements to feel like we're successful.
Yeah, I think we kind of set ourselves up for failure sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And before we get too far into this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe at mindsetrebuild.substack.com.
Right. You'll find all sorts of Mindset Rebuild content over there.
So, it's like we're trying to climb Mount Everest, but barefoot, right?
Mm.
It's just way too much pressure all at once.
Yeah, it's kind of paralyzing if you think about it that way.
But what if we shifted our perspective a bit?
How do you mean?
What if instead of that, that one massive, overwhelming goal, we focused on a bunch of smaller, more manageable steps?
Okay, yeah, a series of achievable, strolls instead of that one huge climb.
Exactly. Like, think about it. When you look at any huge accomplishment, whether it's, I don't know, running a marathon, writing a book.
Starting a business.
Yeah, anything like that, they're all really just a bunch of smaller steps all put together.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we're diving into today.
It is. And to guide our thinking on this, we've got some really interesting ideas from Warren.
Warren Buffett.
No, not that Warren.
Oh, okay.
This is from a writer named James Clear.
Oh, I've heard of him.
He wrote a book called Atomic Habits, which honestly, everyone should check out.
It's a good one.
And he also has this really insightful newsletter where he dives into all sorts of things about habits, productivity, and, well, mindset.
Mindset's kind of our thing, isn't it?
It really is. And in one of his recent pieces, he talked about the power of small wins.
Okay, I like that. Small wins.
And how these small wins can actually lead to some pretty big changes in our confidence and in our overall motivation.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these small wins.
Well, it's kind of like this. How we always talk about confidence being like a muscle.
Yeah, we say that a lot.
Well, small wins, they're like the dumbbells.
Oh, okay.
They might seem really small, kind of insignificant on their own.
Like lifting a tiny weight.
Exactly. But over time, those consistent reps, those small wins, they can build some serious strength.
Yeah, okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this.
It's all about building that mental muscle.
So how does this actually play out in real life? I mean, if I make my bed in the morning, is that really a small win?
It actually can be.
Really?
Yeah. And here's why.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's not about the task itself. It's not about whether making your bed is inherently a huge accomplishment or anything.
Right, it's pretty basic.
It is. But what matters is the impact it has on your brain.
Okay, so there's a neurological aspect to this.
There is, yeah. You see, when we achieve anything, even something small like making the bed or sending an email, our brain releases dopamine.
Dopamine, right. That's like the feel-good chemical.
It is. It's associated with pleasure, with reward, with that sense of accomplishment.
And that makes us feel good, so we want to keep doing the things that make us feel good.
Exactly. And here's the really cool part. That dopamine, it actually reinforces the behavior that led to it.
So making the bed leads to dopamine, which makes me want to make the bed again.
Precisely. So you're actually training your brain to crave those small wins, to want to keep achieving, to keep moving forward.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And the more you do it, the more you create this positive feedback loop in your brain.
So each small win, it kind of builds on the last one.
It does. It's like building momentum. Each little step gives you the energy and the motivation to take the next one.
I like that.
And this is where that idea of stacking wins comes in, which, by the way, is a term James Clear talks about a lot.
Oh, right. Stacking wins.
Each small win, it's like adding another brick to this wall of confidence and motivation you're building.
And eventually you've got a pretty solid wall.
That's the idea. And speaking of reinforcing that positive behavior, one of the sources actually suggests that we should celebrate those small wins, too.
Celebrate? Like, throw a party for making my bed.
No, maybe not a party, but definitely acknowledge it,
I guess I could do a little dance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might feel a little silly at first, but it really does help to reinforce that positive feeling.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
It's all about building that habit of recognizing and appreciating your progress, no matter how small it seems at the time.
So instead of focusing on that big, daunting mountain,
Right.
we should be celebrating moving those pebbles consistently.
You got it. It's all about that consistency, not the intensity.
Consistency over intensity.
Exactly. Sustainable change. It doesn't come from burning yourself out, trying to do everything at once.
Oh, that's so true.
It comes from making those small, consistent efforts over time.
Like building a habit.
Yes. One pebble at a time.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, this all sounds great, but how do we actually make it happen?
Right. How do we take all this and apply it to our own lives?
We all have these big, maybe even overwhelming goals we're working towards, but where do we even begin breaking those down into those smaller, more manageable steps?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And honestly, there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Exactly. What feels like a small win for one person might be a huge obstacle for someone else.
Right, totally.
But the one thing that is consistent across the board is the importance of self-awareness.
Okay, so knowing yourself is key.
It really is. Think about it. What are some areas in your life where you feel stuck or maybe just unmotivated?
Maybe a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, that too. Once you've identified those areas, then you can start thinking about what small steps you could take to start building that momentum we were talking about.
So, like, if I'm feeling super overwhelmed by my to-do list,
Yeah.
a small win could be just picking one thing off that list and getting it done.
Exactly. Even if it's something small, something that seems really simple.
Right, and then I can celebrate getting that one thing done.
You got it. And yeah, it might feel a little silly at first, but remember, you're training your brain.
To associate that task, that little win, with a feeling of accomplishment.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the task itself, it's about what it represents.
It really is. It's about shifting your mindset, focusing on those small victories, and letting those build up to something amazing.
This is making me rethink how I approach my goals.
Me too. This is a much more, I don't know, encouraging way to think about it.
It is. It's not about that pressure to achieve everything at once.
Right. It's about those consistent, manageable steps.
It's about building that momentum.
Exactly. So let me ask you this. What's one small win you could achieve today?
That's a good question.
One that would move you a little closer to one of your bigger goals.
Yeah, that's worth thinking about.
It is. And that's something I want you all to think about too.
What are our listeners' Everests, and how can we help them break those down into more manageable strolls?
Remember, those small wins, they might seem insignificant, but they're not.
They're the foundation.
They really are. They're the foundation of confidence, of lasting change.
So keep stacking those wins.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time on Mindset Rebuild.
Until then, keep building that better mindset.
One small win at a time.
You got it.
All right, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
Bye.